What is going on, everybody? Welcome into Lineman Life Live. It is Wednesday. Sorry for the late start, folks. We had some technical difficulties on my end, but we are back. It is Wednesday, and of course, the drama continues. If you thought it was over, well, I'm sorry. You were mistaken, because now the Deshaun Watson case is taking a spin, a twist, if you will, that brings us right back to where it all started.
Back to me.
And that is exactly what is happening in the NFL, because, as we all know, Sue Robinson, the third-party arbiter for the collective bargaining agreement, which was meant to kind of remove that optic of Roger Goodell being the judge, jury, and executioner in the NFL as far as punishments for discretions go in the personal conduct policy. Well, it appears that while things changed, things stayed exactly the same, because now Roger Goodell is exercising his lone right to appeal the 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson. And I think that, you know, at the end of the day, with the way this appeal works, he basically decides who will decide what the actual punishment will be. Looks like Deshaun Watson's probably going to be sitting out for a whole season. I would not doubt that. Or at least more than 6 games, maybe 10, maybe 8, maybe 10. But I'm thinking indefinite is back on the table, because Goodell can make that call. He can literally say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and suspend him the whole season.
We already know what they submitted.
Yeah, that's what the NFL requested.
You already played your hand. Like, what was the point of all this? Made this poor old lady read thousands of pages, listen to hours of fucking testimony. Like, and for what? Just to do what you fucking wanted to do in the beginning? Come on,
yeah,
man.
just to come back to exactly where we all didn't want it to go to when we started this whole, hey, let's try something different thing. And now we're all going to just sit and wait for Roger Goodell to decide when he's going to have his own appeal and who he's going to have to actually set the true punishment for Deshaun Watson. Now, look.
No, that was Roger Ruddell. It wasn't
you know
me.
What I mean?
It wasn't
you know
me.
What I mean? It just kind of shows how the NFL likes to give the illusion of transparency and cooperation with the NFLPA. But in the end, of course, as we see, it doesn't go the way that the NFL necessarily wanted it to go. So the NFL is just going to say, you know what? Smack all the pieces off the board, clear the board. You're sitting your ass down, son. And that's kind of what we're running into. And like, we have an article that we're going to go through from the Associated Press that kind of sets the stage for what exactly, you know, from a technical standpoint, what exactly is going on here with the Deshaun Watson situation. AP says NFL appeals 6-game suspension for Browns. Deshaun Watson. Sorry. NFL is seeking an indefinite suspension of at least 1 year. That's the first thing it says. Woo woo. Let me zoom in there for everybody. Woo woo. Hot fire. Hot fire.
And when they say seeking, like,
that's what they're going to do.
You're the entity. Like, you don't have to ask. You just do it.
Who are they seeking this from? I think that's one of the first questions. But
pay no attention to the man behind the green curtain. Like, come on, Roger.
Oh my good! Like, it's about as it's lacking the self-awareness that a man who gets paid $55 million a year should, by all accounts, have. they're acting as if they're like going and requesting this from somebody.
Right. Like,
They're
Roger,
actually just doing it.
I was born at night, but not last night. Come on, man. You ain't got a lot to kick it, Raj.
Yeah. I mean,
We know what's going on.
Look, I personally feel like this is now the pendulum swinging the other way, because yesterday it was all about, we hate that this was the decision. Everybody's surprised. Everybody's shocked that he's getting a 6-game suspension, and of course, right before everybody just kind of turns their head to walk away, there's a clause that allows the NFL to actually appeal that and do what they want. So it's not even really a matter of what she's saying. She is requesting that it be a 6-game suspension. The NFL will make the decision on whether it will be a 6-game suspension. And it's just kind of, I don't know how this plays out in a way that really the NFL comes out looking or feeling very good at any rate. So we'll get through this article and we'll talk about it some more. Do have a $20 super chat. Appreciate that from Kyle Donovan. Kyle, appreciate the super chat. Says my dad got us tickets for the Jaguars showdown week 1 against the Commanders. Can't wait. Duval.
Speaking of people that should be suspended.
Speak of the devil.
This motherfucker just out in a damn yacht cruising the fucking
week 1.
Mediterranean coast somewhere.
You know what I mean? Week 1, Commanders playing Jacksonville. Commanders owner, formerly the Washington Redskins, formerly the Washington football team. Their owner has been accused over the decades of sexual misconduct. He has defrauded the NFL for millions of dollars, and he has ducked and dodged the U.S. government in way of testifying in front of Congress, to the point where they were about to put a subpoena out on him, but in the end they're allowing him to volunteer. They're allowing him to voluntarily testify to them, which is,
I'm going to keep that in my back pocket in case I ever get subpoenaed for anything. Like,
for real.
You know what?
Nah, I don't think I feel like it.
Can I just do a Zoom?
You know what?
I got to enter oath.
Got to take the kids to soccer. Gonna have to do this some other time. We have to do this some other time. Because don't feel like it. But there's a clear discretion here, I think, in the way that this is being handled compared to how they're handling something like the Deshaun Watson case, which, I mean, it shows that doesn't really it shows that the NFL is willing they're willing to do the dance and make it look like they're trying to be on the right side of things. That's what we keep seeing from the NFL. But if you really pay attention to it, they treat the owners completely different. And this is when they themselves have said that they treat the owners at a higher level of accountability than the players themselves. But yet, here you go. We have a situation with Deshaun Watson playing out, and it's playing out kind of like we all kind of figured. If he wasn't going to get a big suspension from the judge, then there was going to be something that happens from there. But on the other side of that, Dan Snyder has been literally and figuratively tossing the middle finger to the NFL for the last few years, even after the NFL discovered 650,000 emails, of which they won't show anyone. And he still owns the team. He still has connections to understand how the team's, financials and everything are going. He has not been completely separated from that franchise in any way by Roger Goodell. So it's kind of an oxymoron. It's like, so what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Because they keep letting this dude do whatever he wants, whether it's on one end with misconduct or on the other end with financial discrepancies, shall we say.
some fuzzy math over there.
Or rather that he's just literally stealing from the NFL itself. Not even that he's stealing from, fans. He's stealing from the NFL itself.
Right,
Let's
other owners. That's unbelievable.
100%.
That's
and no owners have come out. And no owners have come out and said anything about this.
He must have tapes of everybody.
He got a live stream that's just ready to go if somebody says shit about him. One of them owners, he just taps a button and it shows a live stream of all their dirt right there. Right then and there. We got him. But let's get into this article, just go through the details, and then we'll continue to try and see what kind of other reaction there is to this, because I think we all knew this was coming. It says the NFL is seeking an indefinite suspension of at least 1 year plus a fine and appealing a disciplinary officer's decision to suspend Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson for 6 games, violating the league's personal conduct policy. A person familiar with the filing told the Associated Press. Now, something that should be mentioned, and this was something that I guess we didn't necessarily mention on Monday, was that this decision was really made based on the precedent of what the NFL had done in the past. And the precedent, as Sue Robinson saw it, was 3 games. And that was from Ezekiel Elliott's case, where he was accused of sexual misconduct. He got a 3-game suspension, I believe it was. I think it was a 3-game suspension. And she decided, since that is the precedent that she has to use, which a lot of people are missing, that this is not, you can't compare cases from years back. It just doesn't work that way. Not in this situation. Not how she how she sees, following precedent. But there's precedent there that said 3 games, and she doubled that. So if one is really trying to put a scope around this whole situation, if you're saying that 6 games based on precedent is what you want, then the NFL, I would think the NFL would come in and say, hey, double that to make it fair. 12 games. And looks like they're going for a home run here. They said, nah, we want him out for indefinite. The person, speaking on the condition of anonymity because the matter isn't public knowledge, also said Watson would be required to undergo treatment before he could be reinstated. See, that's the thing. This is what the NFL is going to do, like they did with what's his name, Josh Gordon.
Oh God!
They're going to require him to go to a treatment center and do all these things, and I kind of feel like, at least in Josh Gordon's case, and I feel strongly about it because substance abuse is not the same as this situation here, and not the same as a lot of situations, in that it's better to have that person in an environment that has a strong support system around him of people that he trusts. And in Josh Gordon's case, I felt like having him ripped away from the NFL the way that they did and just forcing him to go into treatment centers and this and that did nothing for solving the greater problem, as many treatment centers are not really that efficient at helping with these kind of situations. If you watched last week tonight with John Oliver, you probably know why. It's a racket. It's a money racket. These treatment centers, they get per person on average like $60,000 for treatment, and they're just rotating that door with people. 30-day rotations. Boom, 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 boom. It's an insurance racket that they run with these treatment centers, and it's a number of degrees of separation, I think, from an environment that really is the most nurturing for an individual who's an athlete on that level. Being in your sport, being there, and then having the support of your teammates who are around you, your coaches, people in the building, everybody's kind of, got their arm around you, keeping you close, and you take that away from them because of a violation, and it doesn't really change anything about their decision-making abilities at the end of the day. How many guys we see just completely continue to reoffend? So, again.
Alden Smith.
Alden Smith, another guy, a freak athlete, a freak. I mean, everybody was here talking about Charles. This is going to be Charles Haley, the second coming. the way that he played ball, he's out of the league. Same situation. Comes in, gets indefinite, and is just fighting an indefinite consequence every time he gets in any kind of issue. Any issue, boom, indefinite, because you've already been down that road. So, this is the hammer seeing everything as the nail with the NFL, and it kind of fits into how this is going to play out with Deshaun Watson. Now, do I think Deshaun Watson deserves more than 6 games? Yes, I would not argue against that at all. I mean, we because of the circumstances, yes, we thought 6 to 8 games, but he probably deserves. I wouldn't argue against the season, but if we're trying to be as efficient as possible, half a season is probably right in the sweet spot because of the fact that you can't ignore some of the details of the kind of, like, in my opinion, knock down the volume perception here, because a lot of these have been things that have been settled. There was not enough evidence to press charges, apparently, for 2 grand juries, which that holds more weight than a lot of things in this. The fact that he didn't get charged with anything, because I think at the end of the day, the Houston Police Department would be the most, that they would be the ones who would have the most of my ire if it was going to be about being mad at how this thing played out, because they had plenty of people come up with plenty of info. So, that again comes back to, where does the law see things? Because if the law didn't see that there should be charges, then you have to consider that as well when you're making this judgment. But again, this is all based on the NFL's definition of what they deem a certain violation to be. It's not on what the legal definition is. It's not on what what is considered maybe typical all the time. But the NFL has their own version of what reality is and what they view to be X, Y, and Z. So that's how these things are decided. And that's why 3 games was where things started when you're talking about precedent. So a lot of it's just not all that clear, but it is not, but it's also not so confusing, but it's not very clear. And that's the NFL for you.
I mean, what's the next arbitrator going to do? Or will there be another arbitrator? Like, I'm not touching this. I'm not wasting my fucking time for you guys to just go behind me and do whatever you fucking want to do anyways.
Nope.
Like, I got way better shit. I got way better shit to do than read about.
You're not paying me enough.
Fuck.
You're not paying me enough to do this. I mean, granted, it's only, I guess I say only, but shit, have you written a 16-page paper before? That shit ain't easy.
Not by myself.
That shit ain't easy, I'll tell you that. But I guess, it really just kind of boils down to the fact that, the NFL is going to do what the hell they want. They're a private entity. It's really, at the end of the day, they don't even have to, it's a collectively bargained agreement. But I think one thing that Sue Robinson said that's true is that the NFL is so reactionary to public perception that a lot of times that's kind of been why everything's getting hammered into a wall instead of nuance being applied. So, we'll see how that plays out. But let's continue through this article real quick. It says the NFL appeal gives Commissioner Roger Goodell or someone he designates the authority to impose a stiffer penalty. Duh. That's just that right there breaks this entire process. League spokesman Brian McCarthy said it's still to be determined whether Goodell or someone else will hear the appeal. Former federal judge Sue L. Robinson issued her ruling Monday after Watson was accused by 24 women in Texas of sexual misconduct during massage treatments while he played for the Houston Texans. 16-page report. Robinson described Watson's behavior as more egregious than any before reviewed by the NFL, which that's what it says. Now, remember, we were going through this document on Monday. Everything you see in this context is based on precedent that she's judging off of. So I think that's something that gets a little bit lost in translation as well, is that these are all based on the previous precedent that the NFL has provided her with in any kind of decision-making process for, discretions that players have. So in the time that they have allotted and said this is the precedent that we're looking at here, it is the most egregious. And it's still, I would argue it'll probably still stand as the most egregious for a while, regardless.
Let's hope so.
But that's what that means. That's what I'm trying to get at. Says here, but her punishment fell short of the NFL's request, so the league on Wednesday exercised its right to appeal per the collective bargaining agreement. The players' union has until the end of business day Friday to respond in writing. The union could challenge the appeal ruling in federal court, setting the stage for a prolonged fight. Now, this is where things can get really, really ugly for the NFL from an image standpoint, and also from the integrity of the game standpoint, because they're claiming that he threatens the integrity of the game with his violations here, right?
Yep, that was the second bullet point in her report.
Yes. So you know what happens here? If they appeal this and try to give him an indefinite suspension, you know what happens then? Well, he's going to file an appeal in federal court. And he's going to file for an injunction in federal court. And they're going to give him an injunction. Now, let it be known that the NFLPA has never won an appeal in federal court with the NFL. But that's not the point. The point is the injunction. The injunction will likely put this case into a phase of, discovery and all this and that. And this will effectively cancel out any suspension for Deshaun Watson until this case is brought to resolution, which could take longer than an NFL season.
Easily.
Which means he would be playing right now. Right now. He'll be back on the field. He will not be suspended if this court case doesn't get seen before the season starts, which it won't. They're not going to give the NFL any special treatment in this. It'll be put on the docket to come up when it comes up. And that could be a year from now. That could be 2 years from now. Hell, if you got a good lawyer, that shit could be 10 years.
Right. But if you keep kicking the can, now you're running into years where he's slated to make $50 million instead of $1 million.
But then
you might not be suspended at all by then.
You might be retired.
Hey.
Go ahead and hang it up. Go ahead and hang it up.
Yeah, 2040. You got it. I'm good.
Oh, we got a super chat here from Kyle Donovan. $10 super chat here. Appreciate that, Kyle. He says, let's be honest. The fact that the judge said that he should only get a massage from a team masseuse, that's straight up crazy. Yeah, I mean, look, it's professional sports, and these are grown men. Ain't nobody, I mean, the general sentiment is nobody's going to tell me who I can get a massage from. But in this case, don't let that motherfucker out the building.
Oh, shit.
Don't let that motherfucker out the building, y'all. Y'all don't let him out the building. He's and it says that's saying a lot. That's saying this motherfucker is a threat to open society with this. Now, I don't want to take away from the seriousness of what he did, but also, you want to kind of keep things tempered somewhat. But yeah, he is basically being seen as a predatory threat. And that's on him.
Yeah,
you made the decisions,
absolutely.
You did what you did. That's on you, bro. Can't nobody save you from that. That's what your perception, that's what the perception of you will be amongst women for sure.
Oh my God.
In the massage field, at least, for the foreseeable future. I mean, that's literally, that's what you did. Can't nobody help you with that. I mean, right. I've heard of, like I said, we know that this is kind of, like I said, that back page thing, that going around trying to find something to pay for to get you something, right? That's what he was essentially doing. But I mean, my guy took it to another level. He just took it to a level.
Several more levels.
He took it several levels beyond the mark of any kind of transactional thing.
He said to where no man has gone before. God. Oh. But I mean, if I was him, I'd be like looking for the biggest, burliest dude I could find, like on the team payroll, and be like, all right, you're gonna massage me in the training room, in front of 3 witnesses. Like, I'm not taking any more fucking chances after this.
Yeah, I mean,
but I mean, obviously,
just hearing the word massage, I would be like,
like, you know what? Just give me one of them little stick things. I'm gonna just do it myself.
Yeah, just give me the old S bar.
Right.
Give me the old S bar. But he took it to a whole nother level. He got way out of control, way out of line with this. And he's a scumbag. We've said that a number of times here. He is a scumbag for what he did. We have only played the angle of, based on the rules, doesn't look like he's going to get hit with something stiff. No pun intended.
Damn. He was the one doing the hitting.
You underestimate my power.
I mean, yeah. People really underestimated the kind of influence that somebody like this has, and how they operate in secret. People, and that's it's a double-edged sword, because sometimes that works in your benefit for things that are seen as more acceptable in society, and sometimes people take advantage of it, and people are abuse that power. They abuse it, and that's what he did. He abused that power.
Shout out to
and
Bob
took advantage
Kraft.
of people, and here we are. So let's keep going with this article here. Again, both sides could still reach a settlement to avoid a lengthy battle. The NFLPA didn't immediately comment on the appeal. McCarthy said there's no timeline for Goodell on his designee to make a ruling. That's per usual. According to the league's personal conduct policy, the appeal will be processed on an expedited basis. Also, it will be limited to consideration of the terms of discipline imposed and based upon a review of the existing record without reference to evidence or testimony not previously considered. Okay, so they can't bring up any new evidence in this, is basically what they're saying. The policy also states that the decision of the commissioner or his designee, which may overturn, reduce, modify, or increase the discipline previously issued, will be final and binding on all parties. And this is the problem. This is this is the problem that the NFL is going to continue to have, is you can't actually have a neutral decision maker make a decision that is a final decision. And again, from a societal standpoint, that's like an oxymoron. Like, it doesn't make sense. So why would you try to create a system that doesn't even actually give you relief from the previous system? It's just a precursor to the previous system, making its own decision anyways. But then you have to remember, this is a private entity. They don't really got to give a shit about what you think is right in their eyes. They want to be able to have control over the guidance of the league, over the way that the league is perceived, and this is part of that. But I am definitely, I see this as a problem, but it's hard to argue this problem in this case specifically because of what this case is. But this is a huge problem, and this is what the NFL players are tired of having to deal with in whole, is that it doesn't matter anything else. Nothing else matters. Nothing really matters to me. Nothing matters to Goodell. If he doesn't like what the decision or what the recommendation is from the arbiter, he'll change it to what he wants. And that's it. And it's final. There's no appeal to that, which, I don't know. That kind of puts you in a loop. Puts you in a loop that doesn't do any good for anybody. Doesn't do any good for anybody. Taking a look here at the chat. You don't think having an appeal process where Roger Goodell presents arguments to Roger Goodell, then Roger Goodell decides what to do based on what Roger Goodell told him. That's pretty much where we're at right now.
Being John Malkovich here.
The Citadel of Rogers. If you know what that reference is from. The Citadel of Rogers. And we're, hey, Roger, what do you think, Roger? Geez, Roger. Geez. I mean, this is a guy who's making $50 million a year, is not a lawyer, has no experience in the
legal experience
at all, period. And he's making decisions that are affecting guys' bottom lines itself. Again, it's so hard to really talk about this freely and openly because it's a really egregious thing that happened from Deshaun Watson's side, but it's still the issue that we're dealing with here when it comes to Roger Goodell.
He kind of favors Palpatine. Not gonna lie.
He is pretty much the Palpatine of the NFL. He's Palpatine.
He's been kind of. I mean, I could see in like 10 years him looking just like that.
This dude, yeah, he's look all mangled and warped. The attempt on my life has left me scarred. Y'all love these Star Wars references, don't y'all? Oh, Lordy. All right, let's keep going here. This is the first time since the new CBA was signed in 2020 that the league and the NFLPA turned to a jointly appointed disciplinary officer to determine violations of the personal conduct policy. In the past, Goodell has served as judge and jury to impose penalties on players. By appealing, the NFL is giving the power back to Goodell. Yeah, who can choose another person to levy any punishment. A league official told the AP before Watson's 3-day disciplinary hearing concluded in June that the NFL wanted to avoid an appeal. Yes, but they appealed. But the league proceeded with one amid a backlash from some fans and intense public pressure in the media. Beyond that, there were other factors. Now, this is something that Sue Robinson warned about too. She said this can't be considered a legitimate process if the NFL is going to allow itself to be pressured by the public's opinion. If you want this to be something based on the facts and based on precedent and based on merits, then it has to just be based on that. It can't be based in part on the reaction of your fan base, the reaction of the public. It's at large, because that taints, no pun intended, that taints the legitimacy of the process itself because it doesn't hold any weight. And that's kind of what we're being shown right now, is that process doesn't really hold weight because just like that, on the very first try at it, it's going to be overruled by the only person who can overrule it. It says, beyond that, there were other factors. A person familiar with the league's thinking cited Watson's lack of expressed remorse, which Robinson noted in her report, the fact that he didn't report the first incident when it happened, and he wasn't truthful with the league's investigators. Robinson questioned Watson's testimony in her report, saying, it is difficult to give weight to a complete denial when weighed against the credible testimony of the investigators who interviewed the therapists and other third parties. Watson, who played 4 seasons with the Texans before sitting out last season and then being traded to Cleveland in March, recently settled 23 of 24 lawsuits filed by the women who alleged sexual harassment or assault during massage treatments in 2020 and 2021. 2 grand juries in Texas declined to indict Watson on criminal complaints brought by 10 of the women. So this is a different number. I mean, why do these numbers keep changing all the time? So This number says that there were 10 cases that were brought up for indictment, and or 10 of the women's complaints were used in 2 grand jury indictment cases, and they both found that there wasn't enough evidence to file charges. That appears to have lost all its weight somewhere.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're using the same, because we know only 4 eventually made it to the end to be, read by the judge. So, how are they deciding which ones to use at which point in time? Like, maybe were the 4 not included in the grand jury? I mean, would that have changed?
And that's
process.
That's something that look, nobody likes to hear Nobody likes to be the guy questioning the women making the accusations in this case. And I mean, I'm not trying to take that angle here, but you can't ignore that there's 24 women. You can't ignore that. But you also can't ignore that when it came down to putting the rubber to the road and actually trying to get criminal charges against him, if you believe what he did is criminal from A to Z, then how come you only take 10 to the grand juries? And I don't know why that is. So if somebody in the chat knows why, please, feel free to super chat that motherfucker right in here. But I don't know if you only take 10 of the cases out of 24 to try and actually get serious charges against, and none of those have enough evidence to charge him, then what are you supposed to gather from all this? Like, what's the summer? How do you surmise this? That they couldn't bring all 24, because there have been cases where they have brought many accusations, Bill Cosby being one that I can think of most recently, who had 30 some odd women that alleged that he did this and did that. And initially, had it not been for incompetence of a prosecutor who promised, or rather an attorney who promised Bill Cosby that they would not seek to indict him if he spoke truthfully in his deposition, which is now infamous, deposition where he admitted to drugging these women with Quaaludes. They made a promise to him that they would not prosecute him, and then they wouldn't prosecute him. Now, when they did that, they got it.
Oh, yes.
They got it.
Oh, yes.
They indicted him. They found him guilty. They gave him a lengthy sentence. And then it came out that he actually made a deal with Cosby prior, saying that they would not prosecute him. You cannot keep him in prison now. You have to let him out, because that was a deal that was made on an official level. And he would not have testified to drugging these women in a deposition otherwise,
without the deal.
If he knew he was going to be prosecuted for that, and that was going to be used against him in the court of law, he would have never said it.
I say shit. Yeah.
That's fair enough. That's fair. That's fair, and it's not fair, because he is a piece of shit too, and his scandalous ways had been known about for decades back then. But that's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, you have a level of culpability that a grand jury is supposed to find to charge you with something, and usually it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. So again, I think that there is a level of uncertainty in what actually happened, because there's an argument that can be made, like I said yesterday, hey, if my dick gets hard, it might touch your arm if you're right there. Doesn't mean I did that intentionally. That is the question. Now, Sue Robinson says, yes, it does mean you did that intentionally. Based on what the NFL defines as sexual assault, then this is how I see it. But how do you know that he did that specific action intentionally if you weren't there and you don't have a true description other than it touched my arm? I think that's a legitimate, in the court of law, that would be the argument.
Oh, that wouldn't fly at all. Yeah.
How can you prove that that's what I intended to do? Because I wore a small towel over my dick? That doesn't mean I wanted you to touch my dick. It means that I wore a small towel over my dick.
Yeah, you inferred the rest of that.
Yeah, everything else from there is speculation.
Is it likely? Probably. But we're not dealing in probablies in a criminal court.
There's no probablies when we're talking about my freedom here.
Yeah, probably works in civil.
Yes, and that's what I think. That's what this more sits along the line of civil litigation than it does actual crime and punishment. And I think that the NFL was maybe looking for more of a crime and punishment kind of situation in how they handled this in the future than they did a civil litigation. And now they're kind of stuck because, they played the process out, and now it has shown that it's not really going to get them anywhere. They're back to square one. Roger Goodell's making the decision. And that's again, that's my only real problem with this. I wish that Sue Robinson had said 10 games. That would have probably been more appropriate. 12 games would have probably been a sweet spot. If you're talking about we have to punish him, I would think, okay, maybe 10 or 12.
Well, the league asked for 12, right? The 12.
No, the league asked for indefinite.
I thought they had said 12 games and $8 million.
I hadn't heard that.
Okay, I was just gonna say 6 would be splitting the difference if Watson's cap asked for nothing.
Well, again, this is all on the NFL and its wording with the CBA. They're defining the punishment based on the precedent that dates back to X, and that X is Ezekiel Elliott. And his was 3 games.
The case is
that's where
comparable.
And it's not even comparable, and that's what she should have acknowledged and then said, this is why I'm giving him 12 games or 10 games, is that even though the precedent is 3 games from Ezekiel Elliott, that was not the same situation as this. That was not the same situation as this. So this will start the precedent of an abnormally egregious offense against the rules of the NFL's personal conduct policy. So I'm going to give him 12 games. And I'm going to take the $1 million he makes for this season, $1 million fine, and 12 games. So you're not going to make no money this year, even though you're allowed to play at some point. I think that's fair. I think, one, it's strategic because you're kind of counterpunching what the Cleveland Browns did in their way that they set up his contract. And you're saying, look, I'm going to make it, this is going to suck for him because I'm sure he would rather be suspended indefinitely for the season and not have to go to work and lose that $1 million than lose that $1 million and still have to go to work, which means you playing for free. And I'll tell you one goddamn thing about the NFL. I ain't playing for free. I ain't going to do it. Ain't going to do it.
No way, no how.
I tell you what, people here know some of my more light moments that I talk about in the NFL, but I'll never forget. This was one. I was terrified at this moment. I'll never forget. I was, I was in the NFL program, failed the weed test, rookie year. I'm a starter. And, I hurt my ankle in pregame warmups. Didn't roll it, but something just started hurting real bad near my Achilles. My heel got caught in like a divot in the ground or something like that during warmups. So I was having trouble walking. I was having trouble keeping balance. This was a Monday night game. No, I'm sorry. This was a Thursday night game. Thursday night game. And, we're doing pregame warm up, and I'm like, yo, I think I done broke my damn ankle in half. Something's wrong. And I'm like, I don't know. Coaches are asking me, can I go? What's good? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, let me try and I don't think so. Again, here comes Team Doctor to the rescue. Team Doctor comes around the corner. Hands me the three pills. Says, here, take these. You'll be good.
Magic
right,
beans.
Bet. Magic beans. Now just shake them up. Take the pills. Go into the locker room after pregame warmups. Ankle starts feeling better. I can still feel a little pinch, but it's not near. I can push off of it now, which is good. And it's funny because the very next day after that game, I get a piss test. So I get a piss test, which is like, well, why? I get a piss test because I'm in the program. And about 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in my locker. And here comes the contract guy from the front office. Comes walking to the locker room. The guy who handles the bookkeeper basically for all the money. Comes walking in and he's like, hey, Uche, got this, got to give you this letter here. And I'm like, why are you in here? Why are you in this locker room handing me a letter? I pop this letter open, and it's sitting there, Mr. Nwaneri. You failed your last urine analysis for opioids. You are now hereby fined. And it was like 4 game checks. And this was, oh man, this was like what? This wasn't my second year. This was my 3rd year. So it was 3rd season, it was right before my 3rd season. I remember it. So this is like a $300,000 fine. 4 games. And, but you can play. You can play though. You can play. But we ain't paying you nothing for 4 weeks. And I'm telling you, I ain't never in my life. When people say that they felt their stomach drop or their heart drop into their stomach, I ain't never in my life knew what that meant until that moment. I was just looking at the sheet like, oh. I'm like, wait, what?
I can't breathe. Oh, Jesus. It's the big one. It's the big one. I'm coming, Elizabeth.
I'm coming, baby. I'm coming. So it was the fact that what pissed me, what really I was like almost panicking, but then I was like, that fucking doctor better write a note to let them know that he gave me those drugs. Because they say, unless you can prove that there's a legitimate reason why you had this in your system, we're taking 4 game checks. And they don't send that letter to the team. They sent that letter to the guy who prints the checks for the team and say, you don't give this cat no money for 4 weeks. So I'm sitting there like, calling my agent, Jordan. And what killed me the most, on top of the money being threatened, but because at the end of the day, team doctor had a letter, wrote the prescription down, so everything that he did, and they allowed it to pass, and they didn't take my money. But my biggest fear at that moment was, I'm not playing for free. No. There's no way I'm going to play for free. What if I get hurt?
Exactly.
So I was really pissed that they were trying to make me play. Like, if you're going to take my money, I'm not playing in the games.
Right.
Period. Who's going to play for free? Nobody wants to play this shit for free. It's too hard.
When you're good at something, never do it for free.
It's too damn hard to play this game on a professional level without getting compensated. If the feeling walking in the locker room on a Thursday morning, you know what that feels like? It's the best feeling in the fucking world. That's payday, baby. Man, hey, man, look.
See, everyone else got a check but you.
I'd be like, no.
Fucking feeling in the world.
I'd be like, no, I could not do it. I could not do it. So it's like, that is such a, it makes you actually, it gives you perspective on how difficult this game is. I can't do this shit if y'all ain't paying me, y'all. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Like, hey,
I just can't do it, y'all.
Y'all got to come up with an injury because I ain't doing shit.
Yeah, y'all got to say I'm hurt because I ain't going to play no more, bro. I ain't going to play till I get my money. Because this is crazy.
Y'all just got to make something up.
So, that is, that's, I forgot where the hell I was going with all that, but good story, good little sidebar. So let's go ahead and round out this article here. It says, okay. Robinson concluded that Watson violated 3 provisions of the personal conduct policy: sexual assault, conduct posing a genuine danger and safety to the safety and well-being of another person, and conduct that undermines or puts at risk the integrity of the NFL. She declined to suspend Watson for a full year based on precedents in the league's current policy. But Robinson concluded a longer suspension could be justified if it was already outlined in the personal conduct policy. While it may be entirely appropriate for more severely disciplined players for nonviolent sexual conduct, I do not believe it is appropriate to do so without notice of extraordinary change. Notice of the extraordinary changes position portends for the NFL and its players. Robinson wrote in the report. So basically, what she's saying there is that this is based on what the NFL CBA says that this should be the maximum suspension for a person who commits a nonviolent sexual assault.
I mean, she's a judge.
Nonviolent sexual conduct.
They're used to working with sentencing guidelines, and she's like, "Well, y'all don't really have any, so I'm gonna go, kind of deduce some from other shit y'all have done."
And you know what that means? That also means that this is probably going to be something that's going to have to be addressed in the next CBA. They're going to have guidelines on what causes what, because they have a little bit of it in this one that says a nonviolent sexual conduct is a 6-game suspension. That's what it says in the CBA. They're taking precedent from other players' conduct, and they're applying it to this guideline, quote unquote, that they've set up. But if they're going to go back on it, then they're making it non-legitimate. That's what she's basically saying. You're going to make this shit illegitimate if you get wishy-washy here. And that's the danger that this appeal really does bring, because now players are going to know that it doesn't matter what you give. It doesn't matter that you have a arbiter now. It doesn't matter because she's not going to be listened to. If it's not what the NFL is traditionally done, and you've seen a number of different, like I said before, Josh Gordon, a guy who hadn't committed any violent acts, who had a substance abuse issue with alcohol, and every violation was the death nail. Like, so he just would come back to the NFL for fucking 3 weeks, and then boom, he's gone again indefinitely. And that's not fair. That's not fair. It's really not. It's really not, because that's more, you're punishing him without actually helping him. And I think that's where the NFL is going to find itself trying to find a balance between what are we actually, or are we just doing what we want to do, or are we doing what's going to actually help benefit the players and extend some guys' careers to an extent who very well, Josh Gordon should have been, over the last many years, he should have been one of the top 3, and he was one of the top 3, if not the top wide receiver in the NFL at one point.
Yeah, he would have been like DK Metcalf, but better.
He was DK Metcalf, but he could run routes and catch the ball.
Yes, kind of important for a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, we played against that cat. I played against that cat. Freak.
He's a dog.
Freak. He was a freak. I was like, who is this guy? They're throwing like 5-yard outs, and he's taking them to the house. And that's me looking on the sideline like, what the fuck, defense? Come on. But this is going to, I mean, the NFL just finds a way to continue to make itself look completely a mess when it comes to actually disciplining the players in a consistent manner. I think that's still a problem. It's going to always be a problem as long as one person has the ability to make the decisions at the end of the day. I mean, I think that really is the issue. If you can't leave that final decision to a third party and and let it be that, then we're going to continue to have this problem. Yeah, it's not even any point in even giving it to them anymore, in my opinion. Now, continues on to say, Watson has continued to practice with the Browns while awaiting resolution to his case, which has raised questions about the league's handling of off-field player behavior. This is something that irritates me. This is something that irritates me. Look, if they weren't public figures, you would never know about any of this. Because why? Because private entities don't generally get involved in the personal behavior of their employees. Nobody knows that Joe Blow got a DUI on his way home from work the other day, except for Joe Blow and his wife. That's it.
Yeah.
Nobody else knows, and nobody's going to suspend him from work because of that.
Yeah, no one cares.
Nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares. But the moment that a public figure who is themselves working for a private entity. Oh, we got spam. Oh, God, we got spam. Sorry, y'all. I didn't see that. We got spam. Where my mods at? Where my freaking mods? All right, we got him out of there. The old sexy love queen. Best dating site.
That might work on Deshaun Watson, but not on us.
Yeah, it might work on Deshaun. We're cut above that. But like I'm saying, there is not there is no personal conduct policy for when you leave the workplace anywhere else but in sports. I mean, for the most part. I'm not going to say as an absolute because only Sith deal in
absolutes. Yep.
But the NFL is the only one where if you get, a public intox on a fucking Friday, then on Saturday, the NFLPA or the NFL itself, they're knocking at your door.
Hello there.
If your girlfriend gets mad and says you would hit her in the face, or she says you threw your Xbox controller at her face, and the NFL hears about it, the very next day they at your door like,
hello there.
These cats are allowed to interject in your personal life on the same level that they can interject in your daily professional life, which, I mean, to an extent, it's an issue. It's an issue, but hey, you sign up for that.
I mean,
you sign up for that.
You know the deal going into it.
You know the deal going into it, which if that's the case, all right, that's something that I can actually, I can accept that there has to be accountability on my part. But I think this gives people too much of a crutch to just bash athletes as if they're perfect themselves. They're like, oh my God, personal behavior. I mean, everybody has slip-ups, and not all people are good people.
Yeah, all human.
And not all people should be seen as role models because they're not.
And there's some fucking dirt bags.
There are some dirt bags out there. And hey, I like this guy as a player. I think he's he is a top 3 player in the NFL when he's on the field and healthy, but Deshaun Watson is not a good person. Sorry. And I don't think there's much he can do at this point to rehabilitate that aspect of his image. Because, I mean, will women fuck with him? Yes, women will fuck with him. That's not going to stop happening. He's a rich, handsome athlete. Women are going to still want to deal with him. But ain't nobody ever going to forget.
Yeah, Chick's still fucking with Tristan Thompson. So, I mean, he ain't doing nothing illegal. As far as I know, but a serial cheater, and bitches still fuck with him. So
Chloe love him. Chloe love Tristan.
Like somebody will fuck with you if you rich and fairly good looking. Imagine that.
Well, exactly. People don't give a shit. They say they do. They'll tweet that they do, but when it comes to real time in your live and in living color. People tend to be real wishy-washy, and things definitely, will continue on mainly how they've been going. And that can be dangerous in Deshaun Watson's case because, Judge Sue Robinson did say that what he did was predatory. I mean, and in this era of society, what does that mean? Well, if you look on Twitter, it means he's the fucking devil. That's what that means. But in the real world, it means that he's potentially a threat to other women. And is that a fair thing to say? I don't know. I mean, he was trying to get his rocks off with massage therapists. Does that mean that he would have tried to do that with women in other professions or women in the general public that are just, he meets out at a club? I don't know. I can't answer that question. But I definitely feel like, we have to be very careful about what position we think a person should hold when they don't make the best decisions in the daily, in their daily lives. And he made some very bad decisions. He likely did some fucked up shit. And he's lucky that, he doesn't have charges against him, because I tell you what, for it not that he is Deshaun Watson, professional all-pro quarterback, and if he was just Deshaun Brown, Deshaun Jenkins, $750 an hour, 55-hour a week truck driver, probably would got his ass charged. Probably would have got his ass charged in a heartbeat. Let's not kid ourselves about that for 1 second. All right, so to kind of round this out, let's see. It says Watson has continued to practice with the Browns while awaiting resolution of the case. He's raised questions about the league's handling of off-field player behavior, inconsistency in its personal conduct policy, and its overall support of women. Look, and this is another thing here. I mean, look, I love my ladies. I got 2 little girls. I want them to be as exceptional as humanly possible in their own right. But I would be a fool to think that the NFL should or would care about women in the way you want them to. They will have a commercial supporting women. They will have shit in the back of the end zone supporting women.
Yeah, they have the breast cancer awareness month. I mean, tangentially related.
T-shirts. They'll have pink gloves. They'll have pink shoes, pink accessories for all the players to support women. But don't get it twisted. They don't give a fuck about women. Just like they don't give a fuck about the players. They give a fuck about their money. That's why those pink shirts cost something. That's why them pink gloves cost something.
That's just one more thing to sell.
It's more money. More money.
If they played games in June, they'd have rainbow gear. Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. I guarantee you, if the NFL played in June, they would have Pride Month accessories for the players to wear, and players would wear them because players are going to make a style out of it. That's how they did with the pink. They made styles out of it. And the NFL just kept making more accessories to kind of fit into the styles that the players were doing. This shit is about money. They don't care about you. They don't. So why are you acting like they should? Why should they? They're a capitalistic business. There is only one objective in capitalism: money. And that's what kills me about how people grandstand in the social media space and try to actually push for movements. Because you know what? When we try to do it as Black athletes, we realized they don't give a fuck. That just got them money. They put end racism in the end zones. They put, they had commercials. They had Jay-Z. They strolled Jay-Z out for halftimes on Monday Night fucking Football. And what has any of that done for the Black community in its greater grievance that it gave and asked for the NFL to acknowledge during the George Floyd situation and his murder a couple years back? Roger Goodell came out on TV. I believe Black Lives Matter. Full season suspension. Full season suspension. Full season suspension. Like Jay-Z. Yeah, I think we moved past kneeling. Like, this is all business. This is for them to get your mind off of one thing,
right, and
get it on to another.
Yeah, I'm not sure why anybody would even fool themselves into believing that the NFL is going to be the catalyst for any type of real change. I think that's not what it's there for. How would they even go about doing that if they wanted to?
How would they do that?
Because they don't want to.
It doesn't matter to them.
It does not make them any.
It matters to you.
Does not make them any more money.
Doesn't, and the only way that they give a shit is if it does make them more money. And that's the only way they're gonna do it. And that's why I hate seeing people come out and say the NFL doesn't care about winning. The NFL doesn't care. Like, yeah, you're right.
The NFL doesn't care about anybody. They don't care
about nobody but
they don't care about men. They don't care about kids. They don't care about nothing.
Like,
it's
if
not
they
their
gave
job.
a fuck about the players, I mean, if they gave a fuck about the players, we would have health insurance covered by the NFL for life. That shows me you care about your players. They don't care about their players. Why would they care about women? You don't even make them money. The players make them money.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder how much.
So
how much sales goes to women ultimate in buyers.
Bruh, I mean, let's think about it. Let's think about this. And there's probably, let's see, there might be a statistic out here that actually supports it. Let's see.
Hold on. Somebody said it's going to be a Deshaun Watson official Gatorade towel.
Who said that? Oh, no.
Oh, shit.
Oh, where's, they got this. Look at these assholes. Look at you.
The limited edition.
The limited edition D-Watts.
Massage.
D-Watts.
Gatorade towel.
Gatorade towel, the size of a waffle.
This is too much, y'all.
This is the thing, man. And this is why, when I see online, when I see motherfuckers talking about, woke this, woke that, woke this, woke that, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Because you know what? It's not woke. It's them trying to get your money. It's these companies trying to get your money. They're trying to get the money of the people who have the biggest public influence, the biggest majority of public sentiment. That's all they're paying attention to for the purposes of money, not for the purposes of charity. Look, every donation the NFL's ever made, they've written off. They didn't make a donation and just be like, you know what? It was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do. No, they've written them all off.
It's a business. Like, what do y'all expect?
This is a business. This is capitalism.
Big
unfettered
business.
Capitalism. There is no room for me to give a fuck about what you personally believe. But if enough people cry about personally believing in one thing, I'll act like I believe it too.
Maybe I could exploit that to make some more money. Yep. How can I exploit that to make some more money? That's it.
Boom. That's how this shit works. That's how it's always worked. And that's why I don't get mad and get into the zone of, women or racism or when it comes to these corporations.
Because you know what they are.
Care. I know what they are.
Like, I'm not going to be mad when I know that these motherfuckers don't get me started. They don't care about anything.
And look, the
we
people
know
who
this.
can complain when it comes to the NFL, we can complain because we're the ones that they affect on a daily basis because they don't give a fuck. We get affected by that. And we gave ourselves to that machine. So yes, we have grievances ourselves, but we even know that they don't care. They don't care. They're nickel and diming the retirement benefits of players in this new CBA because they did not like having to give up money in the previous one.
Right.
So now they're getting some of that back because they're giving these players more and more money on their contracts, sharing more off of the revenues. And I mean, okay, players get paid and compensated well, but it doesn't matter 20 years after you retire when you got to get a knee replacement and you got to pay for that. You got to pay for that and all the recovery and all the therapy after the fact. Yep. And that's probably one of like maybe 4 major surgeries you need on your body to fix it. And, this is where for me, I really am, I'm really critical of the NFL in that, in all sports. You should take care of your players, the ones who actually make it possible for you to make your profits when they're, when they're done playing. That should be, I can't understand a union that would allow for a league to make it any different than that, because they help sustain a league that is sustaining itself based on what they've done. So they should be taken care of, and they should be helped to sustain in the regard for their physical and mental health moving forward. You can afford that. You can. Especially it's not like you're doing it for like 1 million people. You're doing it for like maybe 10,000 people.
Right. Especially when the injuries are only from that, only from your sport.
Yeah, these injuries come from playing football. That's how you get. That's how your knee gets like that. Playing football.
I fuck my body up making you money.
Yes. So again, I say we say all this to say that don't disillusion yourself into thinking that these corporations have consciences. They don't have a conscience. They're not supposed to. And there's no scenario where they make a move and you say they did that out of the goodness of their hearts. They did that because public sentiment is pushing that way. And that means more revenue dollars, because when you go the way public sentiment's going, then they tend to fall in line and buy your product more.
Here's Roger.
Because they feel like you're an ally to what they're doing.
Oh, that way. Okay. Money's over there.
Turn left.
Gotta go get that money. That's it. That's the name of the game.
Lordy. All right. So we're at the end of this article here. It says, let's see, where did I stop at? Okay. The Browns have been in a state of limbo as well, not knowing when or if Watson will be able to play this season. Cleveland traded him for first round picks to Houston for a 3-time Pro Bowler and signed him to a 5-year, fully guaranteed $230 million contract. Watson will only lose $345,000 if the suspension is unchanged because his base salary this season is $1.035 million. Watson didn't comment to the AP when asked for reaction to the league's decision to appeal. He was then escorted inside the Browns facility by a member of the team's security staff. The 3-time Pro Bowler has just wrapped up Cleveland's 7th practice of training camp and was still on the field when the league's appeal announcement was posted. Okay, so that's pretty much that on that.
Hey, he about to get the most after practice work in history. Trying to
that guy he gonna be in there. He gonna be in there lifting weights for 2 hours. Just,
Hey, is anyone still out there?
Can't talk right now. Can't talk.
Let's get a couple more throws in, man.
Let's get some more throws in. He's going to be back there doing drop backs for 30, 40 minutes after practice. Just dropping back and looking down at the press pool.
It's dark out here, Deshaun. It's pitch black. What are you looking at?
Hey, and you know when you don't want to talk to him and you just see the crowd slowly moving towards you, you're like, fuck. Like, motherfucker, don't come over here and talk to me. You ask me no goddamn questions.
I think I shit. I'll be right back.
Yeah, so it's the saga continues. We're still waiting for an ultimate resolution to this Deshaun Watson situation. But on one end in football, you have the drama of the moment, which right now is Deshaun Watson. And on the other end, you have another sport that is somewhat of a surprise that this happened. But we are hearing now that Phil Mickelson is part of an 11 golfer antitrust lawsuit against the PGA Tour. And these are the golfers who joined the LIV Golf. What is it? The LIV Golf tournament or the LIV Golf? Like, what are they? Are they?
I don't even know what to call it.
Federation? I don't know. Shit. And maybe perhaps. These are, let me see here real quick. Maybe, okay, so this article, I'm not really sure. I've not read this article. I know very little about this specific situation, but it appears that these golfers are suing the PGA Tour. We're going to go through this article real quick in a moment to kind of get more facts and details on that. But just to kind of wrap things up on the whole Deshaun Watson thing, I feel like, really, at the end of the day, he has to be held accountable, and it has to be done in a way that makes things legitimate. That makes things seem fair. Now, is it fair that he got 6 games? I think it's arguable if you're depending on what way you're looking at it. But I think that this has been a disaster. This will tell itself to be a pretty bad first impression of this new NFL CBA handling of personal conduct. It just doesn't make sense. It's kind of it feels very oh, hold on.
They're
we
back.
got the they're back. They're back. back. Here they come.
Mortimer, we're back.
Gee, oh, no, they got another one. All right, get that one out of there. Jeez. Okay. I think that one's down. We got all these porn dating site spammers. But no, I think that the NFL is just proving that it's pretty disingenuous about how it really plans to handle players' conduct. And I think if this is how it's going to be moving forward, which it is, I really believe that maybe the NFL, I mean, and this might sound like a hot take, but I feel like if they can't be consistent, maybe they just shouldn't do it. Maybe they just shouldn't get involved in deciding, penalties for players and allow, either the law to play out or allow litigation to play out and make a decision after said litigation and laws have done. I don't think that proactively having a disciplinary philosophy that doesn't really fit in anywhere other than, one person's opinion about how something should play out. I don't think that's a healthy way for the league to move forward. But we got a super chat here from John Joseph Gray for $4.99. Appreciate you, John. He says, I think this might hurt the NFL and it could lead to Cobra Kai beating them in television ratings. I will accept that as sarcasm. Because let's be honest here, John.
Anybody beating the NFL in ratings? Not gonna happen.
NFL is kind of ratings king. I mean, even in the pandemic year, in really the year before the pandemic and the pandemic year, well, you know what? Let's kind of back it up even more. I'll say from Colin Kaepernick, because I kind of feel like there's a pre-Colin Kaepernick era and a post-Colin Kaepernick era in regards to ratings, because that was when things became really divisive among the fan base in the NFL. I would say that was probably the biggest slump in the NFL ratings in recent memory, and it still was number one. I mean, it was like it's still beating everybody else. Yeah, but last season,
lapping the field.
Yeah, last season, the ratings for the NFL were through the roof. I mean, they were beating out ratings in that if I remember correctly, I think the Thanksgiving games had the highest TV ratings that they've had in the NFL for 30 years. Like, that's how much the, back to football without empty stadiums really kind of brought back the NFL's ratings. So I don't see that as really being, I don't see Cobra Kai threatening, but, maybe, only competition the NFL has in ratings is itself. That's really it.
Netflix is taking a shit right now too. So
yeah, Netflix ain't doing. Oh, Netflix about to fold. I ain't watched Netflix in 2 years, and I got it.
Well, I mean, they keep giving comedians $100 million to do a fucking hour-long stand-up. That's not.
And the only one who was working was the Dave Chappelle one,
right?
And I like Jim Gaffigan too. Jim Gaffigan's. I like him. He's a Purdue guy.
Okay.
I like Bill Burr. Bill Burr.
I've seen him Chappelle, 5 times in person. Yeah.
Jim Gaffigan, they're the fucking best because they know how to just make fun of themselves and you. Which that's, for me, I like dark humor. I like edgy, but not try hard. Try hard is annoying, and a lot of times it can be seen as derogatory. But Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, Jim Gaffigan, those guys make it look easy. Love them. All right, so let's get into this article about LIV. Let's get this article about LIV and Phil Mickelson and company, because this shit is like I don't get what I feel like Phil Mickelson is a sellout. I feel like anybody who's had a lengthy career in the PGA in golf who signed up for this LIV thing is a sellout. I feel like if this LIV thing was going to have any kind of success at all, it should have been from players who were trying to get to the PGA level. as more of a feeder, a sub league to the PGA, because this ain't pro golf. They got music blaring the whole time while they're playing. Like,
I'm not going to give you $200 million if you're trying to get into the PGA. I need guys that move the needle now.
And that's fair. And that's fair. That's fair. But that's how it should be. That they should be having to field, less than top tier talent because they're a new league trying to find their way into the marketplace.
I mean, hey, if the USFL had $100 million for a player, guess what? They're going to get him. But they don't have that kind of money. Because you're most startups just don't have this kind of money or backing.
Exactly. And that kind of backing is coming from a specific someone.
They're a disruptor. They're disrupting the industry.
I see. But let's see what this article was really talking about with this class action antitrust lawsuit, which is kind of weird. But let's see. Phil Mickelson, Bryson DeChambeau, and 9 other golfers suspended by the PGA Tour for joining LIV. Oh, okay. For joining LIV Golf have filed an antitrust lawsuit against the PGA Tour on Wednesday. In addition, 3 of these golfers are seeking a temporary restraining order from a federal judge that would allow them to compete in the upcoming FedEx Cup playoffs. Okay. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They said, bitch, I want to play in everything. I don't care what y'all say. Let's see here. Oh, John Joseph, another super chat, $4.99. Yeah, those are good points overall. It's exciting to see great sports and well-written shows. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I have not actually seen Cobra Kai, I'll be honest. I've seen trailers, but I was never a Karate Kid fan, so that shit, that's to me, it feels a little over the top for my taste. But I do recognize that a lot of people like it, and it's it doesn't look like a terrible show to me. It just doesn't look like my kind of show.
Yeah,
but
I've heard it's great, but
I've heard it's really good. I have heard it's really good. It's like I just haven't gotten I it's not in my realm of taste when it comes to shows enough for me to stop for a moment and give it a look. If I was at a friend's place and they were playing it on their TV, I would watch it and see what it's about. But other than that, yeah.
Teenage Me was, or shit, maybe younger than Teenage Me was all about Elizabeth Shue in the original. Woo.
Oh, word? He was the original Karate Kid boy.
Woo.
See, me, I was a blood sport guy. That's what I was. I was blood sport. I want to see violence. I don't need inspiration. I just want to see violence. So for me, I was on that Jean-Claude shit. You know what I mean?
I was like, oh, where can I see a little bit of fighting, but also some ass?
I want some good, wholesome storytelling. Nah. Just break his nose.
Fuck that. You don't even need to speak. Just walk in, punch.
Just break his nose. Yeah? All right. So, it says here. So, just in the first paragraph, I can already tell. This is about money.
Always. Oh, what? The PGA Tour is just like the NFL? Are you serious?
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm playing in the USFL, but the season ends, and I want to get in them, and I'm trying to get on the team for the playoffs. Like, okay, but they've been banned from going for. They're banned because they went to LIV.
I mean, female basketball players go play in Russia in the offseason.
Yes, boom. That's a good point. Yes, and we see where that got them.
Well, just one.
I just had to make that. I'm sorry. All right. The punishment. Okay. The lawsuit, which was filed in the U.S. District Court of North California, requested relief that would allow Taylor Gooch, Hudson Swafford, and Matt Jones to play in the 3 FedEx Cup playoff events, starting with next week's FedEx St. Jude Championship in Memphis. The punishment that would accrue to these players for not being able to play in the FedEx Cup is substantial and irreparable. Substantial, a lot of money, and irreparable. Can't get it back. That's what that means. That's what that means. This is literally what this means. They're going to take a lot of my money. I can't make the money I was going to make, and that's why I'm pissed off.
I would argue you suck. You weren't going to win it. So you took the upfront money from LIV.
Yeah, you already got your guaranteed money. What do you care at this point, right?
But
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I think we're gonna get to it later.
Okay, let's see what it says here. The golfers' attorneys wrote in the lawsuit, and the temporary restraining order is needed to prevent the irreparable harm that would ensue were they not to be able to participate. Whole bunch of names are the other plaintiffs identified in the antitrust lawsuit, a copy of which was obtained by ESPN on Wednesday. Last month, two player managers confirmed to ESPN that the U.S. Department of Justice had opened an investigation into the PGA Tour's handling of its players and whether it has engaged in anti-competitive behavior during its ongoing battle with LIV Golf. Okay, so while LIV is some bullshit for, many reasons to the wider public as we're getting more and more knowledge on this, the PGA, their hands ain't so clean neither, cuz they got a little dirt on their hands too. So there is an investigation that apparently the U.S. Department of Justice is investigating into that. So there could be some liability here. There could be. It says, as part of its carefully orchestrated plan to defeat competition, the tour has threatened lifetime bans on players who play in even a single LIV golf tournament. Okay, so my question is, as a private entity, aren't they allowed to do that?
They do whatever they want.
Pete Rose got banned for life from baseball.
Everyone knows you can't bet on baseball or, your own sport. I guess they're just saying that, there was no, just like the CBA, we don't have a rule for this. There is no, nothing that says you can't do this.
There's nothing that says that they can't. Well, I don't know. We don't know that. We don't know if there is something.
Well, I don't know the rules.
That says you can't. Yeah, we don't know. So let's keep going. Let's see. It has backed up these threats by imposing unprecedented suspensions on players, including the plaintiffs, that threaten irreparable harm to the players and their ability to pursue their profession. See, and that's where the hypocrisy of this comes into play to me, because irreparable harm, when they chose to take guaranteed money to go play for another entity completely, an entity that's not in the officially recognized by FedEx, where you can get your points if you're playing in their tournaments, because their tournaments aren't even playing by
right.
the literal
Different
professional rules that these guys are playing by.
It's like if you started playing Canadian football and try to make their teams or something,
and try to say, yo, we need to get we want to be able to be recognized by the NFL for our wins, and we want to play in the playoffs with the NFL players in their league, even though we play by different rules
based on these games.
It's like, what, motherfucker? Shut up, get out of here. But it sounds weird that they would want to. They're all. I can accept that they are. They probably have something here to an extent. But they sold out. You sold out. So who is supposed to be the arbiter of whether or not you're allowed to come back? That's up to the entity, which is the private entity. If they say, fuck you, you're banned for life because they're mad, hey.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. I find it very peculiar that now, after they got their guaranteed money, they want the rest of their money from the league that they left to go play in this one.
It's like, these guys are, some of these guys weren't going to make much money anyways.
They're
not going to come back and win the fucking Masters or something.
Yeah, and I have no idea how these. I don't really know how these leagues pay. I know they pay with purses, but I don't know what the average golfer is making per year. The average professional who plays on the PGA. I don't know. I don't know what that is.
I'm
if
sure
anybody knows in the chat, let us know. Throw it out there so we can.
Surely Tiger and Phil are making this.
Yeah. There's like 5 names, 10 names that are making all this up here, and then everybody else is just in a bowl of soup under that.
It's just like football. Quarterbacks up here, a select few skill position guys,
and then few linemen, skill position.
Most guys are,
Most
Minimum
guys
contracts.
are blue collars.
Yeah.
Blue collars in the regard to blue collars in regard to their sport. So, they're making the minimum pretty much. Okay, so let's keep going here. It says okay, it has threatened sponsors, vendors, and agents to coerce players to abandon opportunities to play in live golf events. That's going to be incredibly difficult to prove. And it has orchestrated a per se unlawful group boycott with the European Tour to deny live golf access to their members. That could be seen as coercion, as a collusion. In a memo sent to the PGA Tour players Wednesday, Commissioner John Monahan wrote that the tour will continue to defend members who abide by the regulations written by and for the players. We have been preparing to protect our membership and contest this latest attempt to disrupt our tour, and you should be confident in the legal merits of our position, Monahan wrote in the memo. Okay, so they feel like they're on pretty good legal ground. Okay. Fundamentally, these suspended players who are now Saudi Golf League employees, no chill. These suspended players who are now Saudi Golf League employees have walked away from the tour and now want back in. And that's how I see it. With the Saudi Golf League on hiatus, they're trying to use lawyers to force their way into competition alongside our members in good standing. I think that's legit. I think that's legit. Like, fuck you. Go sit your ass down. You ain't playing here. Y'all left. You broke our rules. And I'd like to see what those rules specifically are.
Yeah,
but
is there any reason?
Saying.
Is there any reason you just can't do both? Don't guys play on the PGA and European Tour? I think they're related.
But I think that the way that these things are scheduled, they don't happen at the same time.
Okay.
I think. Don't quote me on that. If anybody here is a golf savant,
right?
Correct us if we're wrong, because
I'm probably wrong.
We're probably not giving it all. We're probably not accurate. Not all the way accurate. We're going off some general common sense assumptions. I would think that because these leagues, the European Tour and the PGA, have been around for so long, PGA's been around for 150 years, I would think that they have they have things set up pretty well to where their schedules don't conflict. Mm-hmm. And they also share, in that they both are eligible to receive points towards the FedEx Cup, I believe. But again, if I'm wrong, correct us. But let's keep going here to kind of get through this rest of this article. According to a lawsuit filed, okay, hold on. Okay. It's an attempt to use the tour's platform to promote themselves and to free ride on your benefits and efforts. To allow re-entry into our events compromises the tour and the competition to the detriment of our organization, our players, our partners, and our fans. The lawsuit they have filed somehow expects us to believe the opposite, which is why we intend to make our case clearly and vigorously. According to the lawsuit filed by the LIV Golf members, PGA Tour players who appeared in the first 3 LIV Golf tournaments are a group that includes Mickelson, Gooch, Swafford, Jones, Uline, and Poulter, are facing nearly 2-year suspensions from the tour through at least March 31st, 2024. The lawsuit said Mickelson, a 6-time major champion, was originally suspended for 2 months by the PGA Tour on March 22nd for, among other reasons, attempting to recruit players to LIV Golf. Oh, nigga, you gone. you done. Nah.
Out here tampering.
It's one thing if you want to go, but don't be coming in here trying to take people with you. Now you're banned. Fuck you. That's how I would look at it. If the PGA was a person, that would be the conversation they'd be having.
Who's coming with me?
And everybody just looks at him.
Like, ooh. Well, he got a couple people, looks like.
He got a couple. Nobody that I've ever heard of, but he got a couple. Let's see here.
Couldn't get Tiger with $700 million. So
hey, they tried to they damn near threw a billy at Tiger. Tiger's just like, man, bitch, please. Come on. Hey, I don't need all that. I don't even want it. Well, Tiger, but here's the difference. Tiger is such a competitor. He's such a competitor and he wants to be the best that he looks, his excuse for why he look down on these guys.
I can't miss out on the majors. I got to be able to win majors. That's all I
got to
care
win
about.
majors. And like he said, this is what Tiger said. Where's the incentive to actually practice? You're playing like rookie setting football, basically. You're playing Madden on rookie instead of playing it on Hall of Fame. So what's the point? All you got to do is run the play. In LIV Golf, they're not playing by stiffer professional rules. They're just out there fucking, it's like an exhibition for them. So it's like, that's beneath Tiger. He would not want to be involved in something that doesn't actually push him to compete. So
I would gladly go play flag football for $100 million right now.
Hey,
no CTE, nothing.
Not gonna lie, I would, but I also wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have been like I was playing in the NFL and decided I'm gonna go play flag football for 3 times the amount of money I was getting in the NFL. Like it's, that's not a scenario that's likely. But these guys, they actually have that scenario at hand, and it's like, you're burning bridges when you accept that contract. You knew you were.
Oh,
you knew
100%.
you were. So you can't get mad and try and come back to it when you knew that you had already wrecked it. You know what I mean? So says an appeals committee upheld Mickelson's suspension. His request for reinstatement about 2 months later was denied because he had played in the first LIV Golf event in London. Oh, come on. What kind of asshole are you? You say, yeah, let me back in, even though I already just played in an event for the other side. Like, come on, bro, stop. At that time, it was extended by a year. They said, bitch, how about this? Add another year to it.
I see you and I raise you.
I see it. And then they said it was extended by another year when he played in Portland. Hey, PGA is not playing with his ass.
Every time you play, another year.
That's
another year. Another year.
They gave this cat 2 years just for asking to come back because he played in two tournaments.
Another one.
Another one. Another one.
Oh shit.
I mean, that's kind of some gangster shit. They was like, nah, you're not gonna do that. The lawsuit noted that DeChambeau, who has been suspended by the PGA Tour through March 31st, 2023, was sent notice that it was sanctioning him for talking to other tour members about the positive experiences he had with LIV Golf. They like, motherfucker, we don't even want to hear about LIV.
You can't even say the name.
You can't even say the name or it's a year ban.
Fucking he who shall not be named in this bitch.
You know what I mean? Like, they literally was like, you even say the name.
You better not
here.
You better not even fix your mouth to say that shit. Putting cases on all you bitches.
He said, I have every one of you motherfuckers in Pelican Bay.
23-1. Shoot. Come on.
You think y'all can do this to me?
Hey, they out here pimping, dog.
They straight up off training day. PGA said, we ain't taking no mercy. We ain't giving no mercy and no quarters.
Fuck,
you even say this shit, and we taking you out. Ooh, hey, I ain't mad at him though, because that's an existential threat to your existence as an entity, as a golf entity. That's a threat, and they got the money to be a threat. That's the problem. They have the money to be a threat.
So I mean, are you not allowed to try to protect yourself? Is that the nature of the antitrust? Like, well, I need to better understand.
And I always thought antitrust was based on the entity, not the individuals. I always thought that was an entity based term for a conglomerate that is, squeezing out the competition. Like, for instance, EA Sports. EA Sports is the only team making football games. Simulation football games are only made by EA Sports, which is effectively killed the competition that there was prior to that. But, this is something that the government has allowed to fester into a real problem that has grayed the line between what is antitrust and what is not. So
that's how, what was the fucking phone company that got broken up into a million pieces? Like how we got Bell South and all these like AT&T and shit.
I think that was Bell South, Southwest Bell.
Okay.
Something like that. I remember when they had
This was like right on the beginning of our timeline.
Yeah.
So maybe someone a little older can help us with that one.
Yeah, this was like right before the internet age started.
Yeah. So it's something to protect, prevent monopolies. Oh, there we go in the chat. There we go.
Let's see.
Antitrust based on monopolies.
Yeah, and I mean look, there is antitrust laws have much antitrust laws and the term of a monopoly it has fallen by the wayside in the last 20 years. Last time we saw an antitrust lawsuit that really rocked society in way of how we operate was when Microsoft was being sued because of their monopolization of Internet Explorer. And the U.S. government forced Microsoft to allow third-party internet browsers to be used on their machines because they weren't allowing any to be used. You couldn't install something that wasn't Internet Explorer, which was kind of against the move because that's what made Windows the default operating system of the entire world. But that was a monopoly. They had a monopoly, and the actions they took were to protect that. So, yes, they were found to have violated antitrust laws, and they forced Microsoft to open up the door on third-party web browsing, which, if you really think about it, the only one that's actually made one that has latched on since then has been Google Chrome. Mozilla was good for a while. Mozilla's good. Opera was solid, but it's really Google Chrome. And really, Internet Explorer is hot shit. Won't nobody even touch Internet Explorer with a 20-foot pole. Man, that shit popped up on my computer screen on accident. I clicked on Internet Explorer while moving my mouse around. And I was like, what the hell is this garbage? Like, get this off my screen. My Google Chrome. Shit.
Have more bots than our damn comment section.
Yeah, no doubt. So I mean, I don't necessarily understand how this applies, but that's what this suit is supposed to be trying to prove. It says here, 3 players filing suit to compete in the upcoming FedEx Cup playoffs were suspended from the PGA Tour after they competed in LIV golf events without a conflicting event release. Gooch, who's ranked 20th in the FedEx Cup standings, Swafford, who's 63rd, Jones, who's 91st. So y'all ain't winning shit. Top 125 players in the points are eligible for the first FedEx Cup playoffs event. Among other things, players' attorneys argued in the motion that prohibiting them from competing in the FedEx Cup playoffs would restrict them from gaining official world golf ranking points. Yeah, again, that's something for them personally that they're afraid of losing. That would allow them to gain exemption into the 4 major championships next season. The tour's conduct serves no purpose other than to cause harm to players and foreclose the entry of the first meaningful competitive threat the tour has faced in decades. That's called the counterpunch. Banning plaintiffs and other top professional golfers from its own events degrades the tour's strength of field and diminishes the quality of the product that it offers to golf fans by depriving them from seeing many of the top golfers participate in tour events. The only conceivable benefit to the tour from degrading its own product in this manner is the destruction of competition. Indeed, the tour has conceded its nakedly anti-competitive purpose in attacking and injuring these players. That sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me. Just my opinion. It sounds like some bullshit. It doesn't really sound. It sounds like they're hanging on a string with this argument, because at the end of the day, they're going to say, well, what rules did they break within the PGA Tour? And the PGA Tour will say, they broke these rules. They're like, okay, so what did you decide to do about that? Yeah, we suspended them for a year each. And, I don't feel like that's wrong of them to do. I don't think that's anti-competitive at all. I think that's actually them protecting their capitalistic product.
So, I mean, if your rules inherently dissuade competition, is that okay then? If you just point out, oh, I'm going by the rules, which, stomp out competition, but they're rules. These are questions above my pay grade.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know where that falls, because you have to prove. I mean, you have to prove the anti-competitive nature, but you get to play golf. You still get to play golf as a professional, right? So they're not keeping you from playing golf professionally. They're just keeping you from playing in their league, which is not anti-competitive. You are not. It's not your right.
Yeah,
to play
you can still play. Yeah. It's not like good point. You can still golf for a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, you can still go golf, and you're actually being paid millions. You've already been paid millions to play and live. You are not damaged. Therefore, you're not damaged. So you can't say that this is anti-competitive. It has not affected you because you've made money.
Yeah, it'd be different if you were like, you can't play any.
There was no other golf going on, and they kicked you out because you talked about, hey, let's start another golf league. Oh, banned for a year. Damn it. Now you have something to argue. But you actually took a contract with another league, got paid the money, and now you want to come back and play for the other league too.
See, I think they just want to. I think that, they want to play in the majors, and the majors aren't necessarily associated with the PGA. I think only the Masters, I believe.
Well, I think I'm not sure how. You know what? I'm not even sure.
It's kind of funky, but
from what I think I understand, the PGA Tour is set, like they have agreements with other tours, and they all work together as a circuit of tours that play under the FedEx label, and that includes like the European tours. So these are all connected through agreement to be beholden to the FedEx Cup points. And LIV is not part of that. They have to be brought in to be part of that, and they haven't been, and they probably won't be because of how this has all been playing out. It says here the lawsuit claims that the PGA Tour has pressured major championship governing bodies to do its bidding. It added that the Augusta National Golf Club chairman Fred Riley threatened to disinvite players from the Masters if they join LIV Golf. That he personally instructed a number of participants in the 2022 Masters not to play in LIV Golf Invitational Series, and that Ridley declined to meet with LIV Golf CEO Greg Norman to understand the new circuit's business model. This dude has just come off as a fucking greaseball, fucking scumbag. I watched a profile on him recently, Greg Norman, and this is a guy who blew a number of championship opportunities because he buckled under the pressure. But this guy is he has figuratively sold his soul for LIV Golf, and he is running off their talking points at every chance. And you could run multiple interviews next to each other, and he's answering things the same way. So it means, you're really just a bot for these cats. You're a bot.
He's well prepared, man. That's the name of the game.
My ass.
That's what you got to do.
Bot.
You got to die with a lie.
He is a bot. But let's see here. To end this article off, it says several of the suspended players already have exemptions into at least some of the majors as past champions. For instance, Mickelson has career exemptions at the Masters and PGA Championship, an exemption at the U.S. Open until 2026, and an exemption at the Open until he turns 60. He's 52. DeChambeau, who won the 2020 U.S. Open at Winged Foot, is exempt in that event until 2030, and at the Masters, the Open and PGA Championship until 2025. So what are they? So what?
Like they're Gucci. Like I don't really give a fuck about that.
All these cats are good, and they're complaining. Like, what is the problem here? I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. These guys are fucking they're sellouts. Point blank. Period. We all can agree on that.
Yeah,
look,
100%.
Regardless of what you want to say, we know what the deal is with Saudi Arabia. They are and when I say this, I'm saying the American people, the American people are different from the American government. American government, from a geopolitical standpoint, is an entity of itself that represents the interests of the United States. The interests of the United States rely on access to Saudi Arabia. That is why we fuck with them on a geopolitical level. We need that oil, bitch.
Got to have it.
We need that oil. But from a society standpoint, from a societal standpoint, we do not fuck with you because y'all do some real bullshit. And look, we all do bullshit. Ain't no doubt about it. But what y'all doing, y'all motherfuckers, y'all still having like 80 executions a day. You know what I mean? Y'all snatched up an American journalist, a U.S. citizen journalist of Saudi, or wait, I'm not even sure exactly where Khashoggi was from, but Khashoggi, y'all snatched him up in a different country, in Turkey, in Istanbul. And y'all cut this dude up.
Yeah, that's
now y'all want to just come over here and hang out on our golf courses? Like,
pretty
oh,
greasy.
and wait, whose golf course were they at?
Yeah,
Leave that as an open question to the chat. Whose golf course were they playing at?
Yeah, even China not doing that kind of shit.
I mean, even China's like, ooh, no. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. No.
Oh man.
So, while I believe that, at the end of the day, this LIV Golf entity, it's gonna, it'll continue on as long as the Saudi Arabian backers feel that it is good for them to rehabilitate their image from that of a human rights habitual violator of human rights. They're going to continue to pour money into it because they got the money to spend. We've been knowing that. So we'll keep an update on this. We'll keep an eye on it and update you guys when we do hear any kind of movement on this. I don't suspect that this is going to really fly in a court because they're not proving anything that you can look at and say they were violated.
Right.
These guys literally made their choices, broke rules in the PGA tour that they were involved in, and are mad because now they're having to face the consequences of that. I mean, come on, man. People, we have got to understand, if you fuck up, you got to pay the piper.
Yeah. Hey,
come on, man. Like,
grown-ass men. Grown-ass men.
Grown-ass men, grown-ass people. If you fuck up and you got to face the consequences, just face it. It sucks. It sucks to have to face consequences for dumb shit you do. But that's kind of how life works. It's kind of how it works.
Stand by for the Saudi Basketball League next.
LIV basketball with Kevin Durant.
I wonder, what made them choose golf first? Like, they thought they were going to make inroads with golf here.
Because golf is the gentleman's sport.
If you got Tiger, you can make inroads.
In this world, in this reality we live in, you can only bust on the golf scene if you got Tiger Woods.
Yeah,
that's that.
Otherwise, it's just like a distraction. Like, I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, we all know that the Saudis and everything that their reputation stands behind isn't compatible with pretty much any sport. What sport would want to be associated with them directly? And it's the sport that they pay for, the league that they pay for. Is the only one that they can actually bring to the front, because nobody else would work with that shit. Nobody else would do that. But that is going to be it here for us today, ladies and gentlemen. We've been rocking a little bit here tonight, but we appreciate y'all for sticking in with us. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already done so. We will be back next week on Monday, bringing you guys more nationwide headline commentary on sports. We know some wild shit's going to happen between now and then. Like I said, last stream, we got some big things coming up with the channel. So make sure you hit that bell notification so you can get notified as things begin to progress. We're going to be having some big time special guests who are going to come on to the show. We're going to be starting a Well, we'll soon be starting a true, real deal casual Friday with me and Justin on Fridays. That'll be coming as we get closer to the football season. But we have some real neat things lined up for that. Some real special things that are getting lined up and locked in schedule-wise. And we think y'all are going to enjoy it. So definitely hit that bell notification. But that is going to be it here for us. We will catch you guys next week. We hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful hump day, Wednesday. And never forget, it's all about this, man.